Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the internet's most sporadic podcast. This is the CxG podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Games of War. With me, as always, my good buddy Joe Corn Muffin. How you doing?
I am doing all right. It's good to talk to you again.
Yeah, back once again after a little month hiatus.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's been a couple months, but I
it
think it's
has.
it's always a couple months in between the podcasts. Eventually, we'll get it together to be more, uh, I don't know, regular. But we have a lot of trouble kind of getting together because of the time difference and because of just things in life. But hopefully, we'll get it together.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I know I've said it before, so I won't make any promises, but I think that my schedule is cleared out enough to where we can get this thing going on a weekly basis. And I talked to Joe about creating a page, so there should be a separate channel for the CXG podcast. So look for that in the coming days, weeks, hopefully not months, and get this thing on a regular track because it's always good to talk games with the fellow gaming buddy.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll create a channel for it, and I'll link it in the description of this, and I'll upload the old episodes to the channel also. So if you've missed those, because they are rather sporadic, I'll just upload the previous 5 episodes and this episode to the new channel, and I'll upload this to my channel as well, so that people who aren't don't know about the channel will be able to see it, and everybody will hopefully head over there also.
That sounds perfect. That sounds perfect. So let's talk a little bit about this current generation of gaming, the PS4, Xbox One, and of course the Wii U. To me, I can't speak for you, but for me, this generation seems like it's off to a slow start, and I know that that's how console launches go. I mean, I remember getting the PS3. I had Resistance and Motor Storm, and that was it for a long time. Then we got like Heavenly Sword and Lair, which wasn't everybody's favorite, but so I know there's a decent wait before the games start coming out, and I think the generation before was even more so because I couldn't get a next gen system right away because back in 2005, 2006, I didn't have an HD TV yet. So to get into that generation properly, not only did it require to purchase a console, but you also had to have an adequate TV. So that was a kind of a twofold expense.
I actually, when I had my first got the, well, I actually, in the last generation, the first console I got was the Wii, actually. So, um, I didn't need an HD TV. But when I got my Xbox 360, which was the second console I got, I actually was playing it on like a 15-inch TV, like a non-HD 15-inch TV. So you could actually still play games. It wasn't great, but you could do it.
Yeah, you could still play games. Just to clarify, I know for the HD systems, some of the text was cut off and it made some of the text really small. So
Oh
I
yeah, that
wasn't
was true.
about, yeah, I wasn't about to jump in until I had an HD TV, and I did get the 360 first. It was out first, and I remember I think a 25-inch Bravia, Sony Bravia, that my dad actually had. This was back when they had Marlboro Miles. My dad's an avid cigarette smoker, and he had so many miles stockpiled that he was able to trade in those miles and get a TV.
Good God, I remember like as in like middle school, like collecting those Marlboro Miles for stuff, but like a TV, that's like,
I'm telling you,
damn.
man, this guy stockpiled them, and it was a Sony Bravia back then was not a cheap TV. That's pretty much top of the line back then, and it was a gorgeous TV. I made the mistake of I just wanted to jump into HD gaming so bad that I had my mom get me she was adamant about not spending a lot of money at Christmas because she'd already bought me something else, and an HD TV back then was no small order, but I found one. I think it was an RCA, and it was like $400, and it said HD TV. I'm like, oh, cool, I can get by with this. And I got this TV, and I don't know if it was really an HD TV or not. It looked like shit. And I didn't really notice how bad it looked until I went into GameStops and stuff, and they've got like this display TVs with the console hooked up, and I was like, wow, my TV does not look like this. So that looked like complete crap until I got the Bravia. It took me a while to jump in and really see the visual upgrade, you know. But with this generation now, it's like we've already got the TV, so we just need the console. And there's so many great games still coming out for the current systems, and a lot of the newer games like, Watch Dogs and a few of the other games are still getting, the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions like Titanfall still on the 360 and it just it doesn't seem like where with the Xbox 360 and the PS3 it was like, play the old stuff in standard definition or play this new console, totally different experience online, storefronts, PSN, Xbox Live. It just seems like this generation's been really slow going.
Well, I think in the last generation, when the Xbox and the PS2 moved over to the PS3, and well, not exactly in the PS3's case, but in the 360's case, from the Xbox and the Xbox 360, there were a bunch of games that came out on both. Like
Hmm.
the one I can think of the most that I see the most is Gun. Um, do you remember that game?
That was a first-person shooter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one was on both regular Xbox and the 360. But I know there's a bunch of other ones that came out like pretty close to each other at the same time on both systems.
okay.
And like I mean, obviously right now it's much different because I think there's a lot more of that happening.
Yeah, and if my memory fails me, didn't the Xbox stop production shortly after the 360 launch?
Yeah, that's the reason I think it probably didn't last as long. Why there wasn't as much crossover between the two systems.
Yeah,
Whereas like now, the 360 is still selling, the PS3 is still selling, and there people are still making games for it. So I think a lot of companies kind of see it as like, well, I guess we could move to the PS4 only, but the other systems are still around and still selling, so we might as well, make a lower quality port or whatever. Or in some
yeah.
cases, they're just making like a slightly higher quality port to the PS4 or the Xbox One.
Yeah, and that kind of bugs me too. I mean, I get it. They've got like Assassin's Creed 4 was one of the examples where it wasn't exactly built from the ground up for the new systems, but if you decided to go for the PS4 or Xbox One, you're definitely going to get the prettier of the two versions. But it doesn't necessarily scream, "Oh my God, I've got to drop $400 to get this experience." It just don't get me wrong. I'm really enjoying the new generation of consoles, and maybe like not a lot has been revealed, and we'll see some more stuff at E3 revealed. But overall playtime, my next generation consoles definitely have not been making up the bulk of my gameplay time lately, by any means.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But I think because the other systems are still existing right now, I mean there's still like pretty healthy flow of games for the old systems that a lot of companies don't really feel the need to make exclusives for the next gen, unlike the last gen where like the 360 came out and then the Xbox was pretty much gone right afterwards. So there was no other option. You could either make a lower quality game for the PS2 and make it exclusive, or you could make a 360 game and wait for the PS3, I guess, which came out like a year later. But by the time the PS3 came out, for example, there was no way that there was going to be a PS2 and PS3 version because it was like already way past that point. Whereas at this time, like I think all the consoles came out at the same time, so it's kind of relatively close to each other. I mean, except the Wii U, but that's a different kind of topic altogether. But
Definitely.
between the 360 and I mean between the 360 and PS3 to the Xbox One and PS4, I think the situation is quite different. So it does seem a bit slow, but I think like some companies are gonna start making PS4 only games relatively soon. I think once the fall rolls around, you're gonna start seeing a bit more of that because I know Ubisoft is gonna be releasing a next gen only Assassin's Creed game, and then there's going to be that Lord of the Rings game only next gen or current gen or whatever.
Yeah, like I definitely understand this is like a transitional time. And like you said, in the future they're gonna like the new Batman game, I believe, is only PS4 and Xbox One, the Arkham Knight, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah, that and there's a one of the one next gen game that's really got me excited is that what is it, Lords of the Fallen? Have you
I have
have you seen?
not. I don't even know
Oh
what that
man,
is.
Lords of the Fallen. they're saying it's like the next gen Dark Souls. I mean, it's like a medieval setting, and the graphics look just insane, and it looks really, really nice. And I knew it was just a matter of time before we'd start seeing like some Dark Souls inspired games trying to, take some of the thunder. And this one right here, it looks to be, oh, it looks so good, so good. And that's one of the things that I've been a little disappointed with in terms of. Well, let me ask you this, Joe, would you say that this generation right here has seen the smallest leap in terms? I know there's a lot of people that said that, the jump from the PS2 and Xbox wasn't that big to PS3 and 360. And looking back on that now, I mean, not just graphics, but the whole online infrastructure and everything, I think it was a pretty big jump myself. I mean, it totally
Yeah,
changed it changed the gaming landscape, and with downloadable content and with indie games and downloadable games. And would you say that this generation has probably been the smallest jump so
it,
far?
it probably is because I think unlike the previous generation where online gaming became like really a main part of this kind of landscape, and the all of the downloadable games on like PSN and Xbox Live and stuff like that. That was all like pretty new. I mean, they did a little bit of it on PS2 and Xbox, but
Yeah,
on Xbox
yeah,
360 and PS3, it was like a main focus for a lot of the games. And
definitely.
this gen, what it's doing is like it's giving you obviously more powerful systems, but it's not giving you that kind of leap in how we're playing, if that makes sense. Like in the previous from the previous generation leap, there was a whole different change in the way people played games, in that like it wasn't just like couch only co-op. I didn't have to like as an example, when we wanted to play the original Halo on the Xbox multiplayer, we had to like bring Xboxes from other people's houses and multiple TVs and kind of network together in the room.
Yeah, the LAN parties.
Yeah, but I mean, we had to do that. That's like an entirely different thing between, Xbox 360, where I'm like in Japan playing against my friends in the US. Like we couldn't have done that before. But like
Yeah,
now with the Xbox One and the PS4, like you can still do that, but there's nothing incredibly new that's like really in the same way. And that's not to say, I mean, of course, this is like all hindsight because we've been through the generation, so we don't really know if there's going to be like some amazing thing that happens. There could be. It's just as of right now, it seems like it's probably the smallest jump.
yeah, I'd have to agree. And one of the things that I wanted to see more more detail in is physics, man. I still am not getting the physics that I want to see. And granted, there haven't been many games that have had. I'm sure every game that's come out so far for the next generation systems hasn't had the most lengthy development time and proper resources put into it yet. But I really want to see some expanded physics. I want to see total interaction with the world. If I'm playing a racing game and I'm racing in the dirt, I want to see the tires carve ruts into the land and spit up dirt properly. And if I'm running around with a guy with a sword and I swing the sword, no matter what I swing the sword at, I want to see the boxes break apart or a cut, cleaved into the wall. Or if I'm cutting somebody, I want to see an arm fall off in realism, and I want to see a head chopped off with realism. Or just I want to be immersed in the environment, and so far I haven't seen that. When I'm playing Killzone and I shoot some things and it's not a human or an enemy, some things break apart, but it's predetermined and it's not for everything in the background. And I thought by this generation we would have been to that level of physics to where there's actions and reactions for everything, not just set pieces.
Well, I think that the problem with that right now is that well, I think you'll probably see more stuff like that once the companies who are developing games make newer engines to that are like solely for the new systems. Right now I think a lot of companies are using these kind of like in between engines that can work on both systems. So they'll make the game and it'll work on like the PS3 and it'll work on the PS4. So,
Yeah.
but I think like later on you'll find that like once they start using engines that couldn't run on the 360 and PS3 but do run on the PS4 and Xbox One, that you'll start to find more and more stuff like that in games because you have more options. But right now, I mean, I wouldn't even expect something like that only because like the engine they're using is probably not fit to handle something like that.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to wait for my next gen physics fix.
Yeah, is it going to happen? I don't know, but I think like if it were going to happen, it wouldn't be something that happened right away. It would be something that happened, a year or two down the line.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely when you have a chance, check out some info on Lords of the Fallen.
Who is the developer? Do you know?
I know Namco Bandai's publishing it. I
Okay.
can't remember the developer. It was in they did an article in New Game Informer, and I had seen it previously, and I thought it looked really amazing. I've definitely got my eye on that for sure.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out because it sounds interesting.
Now, one question I do have for you. Um, how do you think that these new headsets figure into the equation? The Project Morpheus for Sony and the Oculus Rift. Do you see these as a gimmick? Do you feel that they're going to be overpriced? Do you think that they might have relevancy in the market, or do you think this will be another PlayStation Move or Connect, or something that just gets a little bit of attention and then relegates itself to niche status?
Yeah, the thing is like I know a lot of people are kind of excited for it, and then on the other hand, a lot of people are think it's kind of stupid. And the thing is like I can't really give a well informed opinion because I've never used one.
Yeah,
So you know what I mean? Like for example, uh, if I use the Oculus Rift or the Project Morpheus or whatever, the one of the VR headsets, and it's awesome, then I would be like, yeah, I think this will probably catch on. But if I play it and it's just like, oh, that's kind of cool, then it's the kind of thing where you just like it would kind of end up being a gimmick. Whereas like the something like the Kinect, I know a lot of people hate the Kinect, but I liked it using the Kinect. It was helpful for a lot of things, and some games it actually made better. But the thing with it is that it does kind of come off like a gimmick because it's not 100% on, if you know what I mean. Like it's not 100% like doing what it should be doing all of the time. So
yeah.
if
And
they could make
Microsoft,
yeah.
they really shot themselves in the arm with announcing the Connect Less bundle. You no longer basically have to have Connect when you purchase the system. You know, I, I just I don't understand. Talk about not having faith in something. I mean, what about the developers that were working on Connect only games? And the thing is, as a developer, knowing that everybody that bought the Xbox One has the Connect, that opens up your potential. And for these guys that have had these games coming out, or even Rare, that's just because well, from my understanding, Microsoft just dropped this bombshell without any type of warning or anything to anybody that had stuff in the works, or basically betrayed themselves by making Connect the differ the factor that sets it apart from the PS4. This all-in-one command system that is now not not required basically.
Yeah, I would say that like it's probably a bad idea to not to kind of switch on that topic only because like I'm sure there were people who were developing it thinking like, well, unlike the last gen where like only if a portion of the 360 owners had a Connect, now everybody will have it, so it's more useful to kind of integrate the Connect into things. Whereas now, I don't think developers have that same motivation because now it's back to the same situation where not everybody has it and probably a lot of people won't get it. So
Yeah,
it it does kind of fragment their market a bit.
it does. And I've got really high hopes for the virtual reality headsets. I was paying attention back in the 90s when it kind of got a surge there, and we were seeing prototypes from Sega and like Atari. And I'm
Virtual
all
Boy.
for, yeah, I'm all for stuff like that. And I think that the technology is slowly catching up to where it could be a really cool experience. I saw the demo for Project Morpheus where there was like a diver in a cage underneath the water, and like a shark was attacking this cage. And I can only imagine having that headset on and feeling like you're there, and being immersed like that. That to me, if that is released for an affordable price, I'm gonna take the plunge, and I'm really excited for a headset like that. If it brings some sort of virtual reality to gaming, that would be awesome.
I will probably buy one if it comes out. I mean, obviously, this if the Sony one comes out and there's like anything remotely interesting I want to play on it, I'll buy it just because you know, that's what I do. But
Yeah.
it's the kind of thing where I've never tried one, so like I don't know how immersive the immersiveness of it is. A lot of
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people reacting to it, but before I try it myself, like, is it going to be a kind of situation where like I put on the headset and I'm like getting motion sickness, or because if it's that, I'm not going to be very happy about it. But like if it's something cool where it feels like I'm in the game or something, it feels like some of those like '90s movies that were really focused on virtual reality, then that would be
Yeah.
pretty cool.
The lawnmower man.
I was just thinking that Lawnmower Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely could be something cool. Now, what have you been playing? Have you been playing anything PS4 wise, or do you have an
Um,
Xbox One yet? I can't
it's
remember.
it's
It's
not
not
out.
out.
It's not out in Japan,
Okay, that's
but
that's what I thought.
I'll get it. I'll get it eventually. I don't know when it's going to be out and what games are coming out in Japan, so I
Hmm.
can't really say if I'm going to get one right away. But for now, I have a Wii U and a PS4, and I don't know. I haven't been playing either of those all that much. Um, PS4, I haven't even touched since I finished the Yakuza game that came out, Ryuga Gotoku Ishin. So that game, after I finished that, I haven't played anything on the PS4, and I haven't bought anything for the PS4.
Okay.
But the Wii U is pretty much the same. I played Zombie U, and I actually bought another game for it, a Batman game, but I haven't played it yet. So I haven't touched the Wii U since I finished Zombie U also.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much the same story here. I've been playing. I picked up Bound by Flame. Is
Oh
that what
yeah,
it's
yeah.
called?
I was interested in that, but I actually had it pre-ordered, but I canceled it because something else came out at the same time, and I thought like I'm never gonna have time to play this.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying the game. It's pretty difficult, which is a good thing. It's got great combat. It's one of those games that you can definitely tell that it was developed for the PS3 and 360. Just some minor graphical touch-ups for the next generation, facelift, if you will. But the combat's kind of cheesy, and I like that. I'm all about that kind of dialogue, and just it's written by like potty mouthed. Just it's cool. It makes me laugh, and I enjoy it, and I like the world that it's set in. The combat's really enjoyable, so it's a pleasant surprise for me. It's not revolutionary or going to win any awards, but it's a solid game, and it's my favorite genre. I like the hack and slash action RPG. I love games like that, so it wins some pretty good marks for me personally. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it didn't get like super good reviews or anything, but I'm actually pretty interested in it, even though like it didn't get really good reviews. I'm just waiting for the price to go down. I have to pay like $80 for it because it's an import. So it's the kind
Yeah,
of thing where like, yeah, once it gets a little cheaper and I have more time, like I have a bunch of stuff that came out, and the summer is like crazy with stuff coming out. But so
yeah,
when I'll get around to it, I don't know, but I will eventually get it. It's on my list of stuff to get.
yeah. It's definitely worth picking up. And I've been playing a lot of Drakengard 3. I think I'm about halfway through that game, and I really like the game a lot. That's another game that's got dialogue that's just some of the most potty mouth things I've ever heard like a woman say. Man, she just is so mean to the dragon and the people around her, and she hates her sisters with a passion. And I laugh out loud, when she's speaking, and it reminds me of the girl from Nier. What was her name? Kanye, I think it was, or what was her name? You remember the girl from Nier?
I don't remember.
It starts with a K. I think it's Kane or something. But yeah, just really foul mouthed, man. I'm really enjoying it. The combat it's really bloody. I like that, and the game is kind of a mess, but I really enjoy it. I've always liked the Drakengard games and Nier for that matter. So I'm really enjoying Drakengard 3. They got that cool collector's edition that I was kind of afraid that Digital River was going to fuck me over like they have in the past with the Nino Kuni Wizards edition, but it came, so I can't complain about that.
Yeah, I
And
think I haven't played Drakengard 3 yet. It's really cheap now, so I was gonna get it, but again, I have like such a huge amount of stuff that I bought recently that I haven't been able to touch that I've been like kind of holding off on buying a ton of new stuff.
yeah, I'm in the same boat, man. I'm gonna get Watch Dogs 'cause that just came out last night. I've got my collector's edition on the way from Amazon. And then I'm probably going to pick up Mario Kart, and then I'm taking a break. I'm going to start beating some games, and I mean, I've got an enormous backlog of things to get through, and I've just got to stop buying new games because it's getting ridiculous. I've got a lot of games to finish, and I think Mario Kart 8 will be the last game I get for a little bit, until the next Tails game comes out or something like that. But
Yeah,
so
man.
many
The
games.
problem is that like this summer, like I have a bunch of stuff pre-ordered already, and
Hmm.
next week Persona Q comes out, and then like after that, there's like a big string of games that are coming out in July and August. So I have like 8
Yeah.
games pre-ordered or something for July and August. It's like,
God, it never ends, man. It never ends.
yeah, it's so
I
much
think
stuff.
I think back to when I was a kid, and back then you didn't have a car, you didn't have a job, so you got a game, and you spent months, playing the single game and discovering its every secret, and sometimes playing it again, and just I remember putting a lot more time into a single game back then when I didn't have so many distractions and so many games coming out all the time, where I don't have a chance to properly play anything. I mean, I can name off the top of my head. I picked up The Witch and the Hundred Knight, The Guided Fate Paradox. I haven't even touched Final Fantasy 10 and 10 2 yet. Um, what else? There's one more. I picked up Ninja Gaiden Z, the Yaba. That was like $20. I got that on sale. I played a little bit of that. Haven't touched it since. I mean, I've just got so many games that I feel guilty that I'm not playing. And I want to start beating some of these games. And I know that between Witch and the Hundred Knight and the Guided Fate Paradox, it's probably 100 hours right there, just waiting for me. I just gotta start playing some of these games and stop buying.
Yeah, that's my situation. I actually don't have a ton of stuff that I haven't played. I play pretty much everything I get pretty quickly, but recently there was been all these sales, so I bought like a bunch of stuff all at once. So I've just been
Yeah.
trying to go back through it all, and I have some stuff that's been like on my shelf forever that I just haven't gotten into. Like I haven't gotten to the kind of point where I feel like, yeah, I want to play that. But recently, I think I finished up pretty much everything in my backlog on my PS3, and the biggest one right now is my PSP, where I have like so much stuff that I haven't played yet.
Oh God, don't even get me started on handheld stuff. I've got so much I need to beat there too. I did finish the new Kirby game. I did finish that, and I got all the Sunstones and unlocked the additional content. So I feel pretty good about that. I haven't put enough time into Mario Golf like I want to. Played a couple of tournaments and did pretty well, but that's a really fun game too. And I'm not even like a golf fan. I've been really enjoying that. Now, as far as E3 coming up right around the corner, is there one or two things that you would absolutely love to hear from E3? Some reveals or some announcement or something that would really make you happy as far as, gaming is concerned?
Man, it's rough. I'm kind of excited for E3, but there's nothing specific that I really want to hear about except for that if that Project Beast game is actually real.
Oh boy.
Um,
Yeah,
Beyond that, like
definitely.
if I can hear about that, I'll be really excited. But everything else, like everything I really want to hear about, I think like isn't gonna be talked about. You know what I mean? Like, there's a ton of stuff that I want to hear more about. Persona 5, for example, but I don't. I think like it's probably not gonna be talked about at E3 because it's not gonna be coming out in the US until next year. So I think Tokyo Game Show is a more realistic place for that to be talked about. And I think a lot of the stuff I'm interested in is like gonna be talked about at Tokyo Game Show instead of at E3 because it's stuff that's coming out in Japan first and not in like later in the U.S., so it makes sense to be talked about later. And
Right.
everything else I'm interested in, for example, like I'm really interested in Alien Isolation,
Hmm.
and but that's already been talked about a lot. So I think it'll be there, but I don't think like it's a huge announcement.
Yeah. I can say one off the top of my head that I really, really want to see something, and this has been years and years of nothing, and that's The Last Guardian, man. I mean, please, Sony, Team Eco, just let us know what the hell's going on. I really don't want that game to be lost or canceled, or, if they switched it over to the PS4, that's fine. That's fine. But, Eco was a great game, and it really, stirred up a lot of emotions in me. But Shadow of the Colossus is a game that really holds a lot of meaning for me. I remember sitting down and playing that game with Zach and just slaying, guardian after guardian, beast after beast, and it was just like a magical game, man. I remember towards the end there, little spoiler if nobody's like played or beaten the game, and your horse jumps off that cliff and doesn't quite make the jump, and he falls down. And I look over at Zach, and he's got a tear rolling down his cheek. And I was like, "Hey, man," and he's like, "Hey, shut up," and tried to hide from me. But like, it was just like that game gripped both of us, man. And project, I just want to see that new game. I want the game to be shown or revealed or something to let us know that it's coming out. I want The Last Guardian. I do.
Yeah, I think people have been saying that for years, though. I hope it actually comes, though. They keep saying that it's still being made, so
Yeah, and like I don't see what they have to gain by telling fibs or something that's not true. I mean, I would think they would just come out and say, "Hey, the game is done," but there's been nothing, and those they make such great games, and it looked so good, and the whole concept seems so awesome to me. I just really would like to see or hear some confirmation on the game. You know, really want to hear something.
yeah, I think that would be really good. There's not a lot of, I mean, there's not a lot of news on it, and even if they were just like, yeah, it's moved to the PS4, that would be cool. But
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine with me.
if it's still on the PS3, the window where they can still release it is getting smaller and smaller.
Oh, it really is. It really is. Oh, that really gets me, man. I'd love to hear some new information on that.
I think
I
a lot
really
of
would.
people are in that same boat.
Definitely. Other than that, I mean, I read that the Order 1886, which is done by Ready at Dawn, just got delayed till next year. Um, that wasn't much of a surprise. That game wasn't looking all that great, and I know that Ready at Dawn is a studio that's capable of great things, so that doesn't bother me too much. But yeah, like other than that, I'm excited for the new Batman game. But other than that, I mean, I'd like to hear more on the new Xenoblade game that's on the Wii, or if it's Xenogears or whatever they're calling it. I'd like to see more on that, see what's going on with that. But my overall expectations for this E3 are relatively low. I think that they've announced that new figure for the Wii U, the Mario figure that's going to be able to do some stat storing for the Smash Brothers game. I think Nintendo has been missing out on the whole figure thing for quite some time. Now, did you hear that the Toys for Bob, the company that's behind Skylanders, initially went to Nintendo and wanted Skylanders to be exclusive to their system, and Nintendo thought about it and turned them down?
I'd never heard that, but I could see it being true.
Yeah, I guess that company wanted to do it exclusively for the Nintendo, and they said no. And they for the financial problems that Nintendo's having right now, they got to be kicking themselves in the ass for that, unless they can roll out a similar thing with Nintendo themed characters, which is what I think ultimately they're going to do. I mean, it makes sense. These characters are, 15, 20, 25 years old. People grew up with them, they love them. Why not make some cool characters that you can store data on and change in and out? That would be the logical thing to do if that's what they're looking into.
Yeah, I think all they need to do is turn it into a Pokemon game on the Wii U with those figures, and they have printed money again. It's like I think like anybody would buy that. I mean, anyone who's a Pokemon fan, I wouldn't buy it, but I think like the thing is like that's what people want. I think something like that.
Yeah, definitely. It would definitely be money for sure. For sure. Well, guys, I hate to rush this episode. This was just to get something out there and let you guys know that the podcast is coming back this time for certain. Both of our schedules are opened up. And think of this as kind of a teaser to kind of whet the appetite of things to come. We will see you back in a week for a probably more lengthy episode. And it's good to be back. It's good to talk to you again, Joe.
Yeah, good to hear from you again, and hopefully we'll get it more on track.
Oh, for sure. I feel it. I feel it in my bones, man. Good things to come.
All right then.
All right, guys. Until next week, you guys take it easy.
See you guys next time.